Welcome to Ms. Taylor's class videos for honors geometry, and today we're just going to go over Pythagorean theorem. You've learned a lot of these things already, whether it was middle school or early in the year, and so this is just going to be a real quick review of what you should hopefully already know. So Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared, which are our legs. They are the two sides of the triangle that make up the right angle, equals c squared, which is our hypotenuse. So this is just a real quick thing. Pythagorean triples. These are numbers that will always make the Pythagorean theorem true. So 3 and 4 are our legs, which would make 5 our hypotenuse. And all this second row is we simply multiplied 3 times 2, 4 times 2, 5 times 2, and that still works. And so if you can memorize these, it's helpful, but you don't have to. This is just kind of more information. So that would be times 3. And again, any number that you want to put in there, that's going to be a Pythagorean triple. Same thing with 5 and 12 are going to be your legs, 13 your hypotenuse, that's times 2, times 3, and then that's times x. 8 and 5 would be your legs, 17 would be your hypotenuse, 7 and 4 would be your legs, and 25 would be your hypotenuse. So again, these are just the most common ones that you see, but these are not all the ones that exist. So when we're looking for Pythagorean theorem, again, our legs are A and B, and our hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle, is our C. So we're going to do 81 squared plus 108 squared equals C squared. So if we pull out a calculator, 81 squared plus 108 squared, no, not log, I want squared. 81 squared plus 108 squared equals, so we get 18,225 equals C squared. And then to get rid of the square, we simply square root both sides. And we get 135 equals C. So the questions are all going to ask, what's the value of x? And then it's going to say, do the sides form a Pythagorean triple? If when we square root our number, we get a whole number, then yes, this is a Pythagorean triple. So again, we're looking for our legs. So this would be A, this would be C, because those are the sides that make up the right angle, where our 8 is our hypotenuse. So we go x squared plus 4 squared equals C squared, or we can rearrange it. Not C squared, I want 8 squared. Okay, come on now. Or we can rearrange it and just do 8 squared minus 4 squared equals x squared. Since we're looking for a leg and we have a hypotenuse, we need to use that minus. So 64 minus 16 equals x squared. We get the square root of 48 equals x. But if we do second square root of 48, it gives us a decimal. So this is not a Pythagorean triple. Now, we do need to simplify the square root of 48. And so the square root of 48, I know I can divide it by 4, which gives me 12. I know I can divide 12 by 4, which gives me 3. So our final answer, we're going to take the square root of 4 times the square root of 4, which is 2 times 2. So we're going to get 4 square root of 3 is going to be our answer for our leg. All right, I want you to do these two on your own. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, so you should have gotten x equals 25, which makes this one a Pythagorean triple. And then you should have gotten x equals 2 square root of 34, which is not a Pythagorean triple. All right, occasionally we're going to see some word problems with Pythagorean theorem. So you're going to start at the school and you're going to bike 1.2 miles south. So that's going to be 1.2. And then you're going to bike 0.5 miles east. So this would make a right angle right there. If you had biked home on a street that runs directly diagonal from your school to your house, how much shorter would your bike trip have been? So we're wanting to find our hypotenuse. So we want to go 1.7 squared plus 0.5 squared, and then we need to find x squared. So if you put this in your calculator, you get the square root of 1.69 equals x, and then 1.3 miles is how long your trip is if you go the diagonal. So if your trip going the long way was 1.7 plus 0.5, that trip was 2.2 miles. So if you go the direct way, nope, not 2.2, wait, yeah, 2.2, I couldn't do the math in the completed notes, I messed that up. So we're gonna do 2.2 minus 1.3, so it's 0.9 miles shorter. All right, so our converse allows us to tell if a triangle is a right triangle or not. So we need to find our hypotenuse, which is our longest side, and we're gonna do Pythagorean theorem. 8 squared plus 7 squared equals the square root of 13 squared. So one thing that we need to remember is that squares cancel out square roots. So if we square the square root of 113, it simply just becomes 113. So 8 squared plus 7 squared gives us, 8 squared plus 7 squared gives us 113. And so if our two numbers are equal, yes, it is a right triangle. So again, we do the same thing. We find which one would be our hypotenuse. So we want to do 36 squared plus 15 squared equals 4 square root of 95 squared. So we're going to do 36 squared plus 15 squared, which gets us 1521. Now, when we square a mixed radical, we're going to square the 4, and then we're going to square the square root. So we get 4 squared, and we get the square root of 95 squared. So 4 times 4 is 16. The square root of 95 is 95, and so we then need to multiply 16 times 95, which gives us 1520. So no, this is not, let's write letters correctly, not a right triangle. All right, and our Pythagorean inequality theorem. So we're gonna always put c squared first when we do our inequality theorem because it just makes it a whole lot easier to understand. If c is less than, that means our triangle is acute. If c is greater than, that means our triangle is obtuse. So that's the reason we want to write c first, because it just makes things a whole lot easier. So our problems are always going to ask to verify that we have a triangle. So for us to verify that we have a triangle, we want to take the two shortest sides. So we're going to do 90 plus 216. And we get 306. So we need our two shortest sides to be greater than our longest side for it to be a triangle. So yes, triangle. And so now we're going to do our c squared and then a squared plus b squared. So we're going to do 234 squared, which gets us 54,756. And then we're going to do 90 squared plus 216 squared. And we're going to get 54,756. So if they are equal, then we know it's a right triangle. So again, we need to add up our sides. So what's going to be helpful for me right now to know what the square root of 3 actually is, and our square root of 3 is actually 1.73 ... So we need to take our two shortest sides, and 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 should be greater than the square root of 3. So yes, it's a triangle. So now we need to do our c. So we need to square, come on, brain, work now. C squared, and then we're going to do a squared plus b squared. So we're going to do the square root of 3 squared, and then 1 squared plus 1 squared. So we know that the square root of 3 is just going to cancel out the square root, so we're left with 3. 1 squared is 1 plus 1, which is 2. So if 3 is greater than 2, this is an obtuse triangle. And so those are all the things that we can do with Pythagorean theorem and all the things that we can learn about telling if it's a right triangle or not.